Okay, Sean, give us a news part 2.
Good, what are we on? Afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, guys, whether you're from the US, Canada, or the UK, or any other beautiful country where you may be at. Welcome to our show, guys. Thank you for tuning in to part 2. Remember, we do part 1 on our other platform, and this is part 2. Go and look at the link in our description, and that'll tell you about where you can find part 1. So, what's been happening in the world? A lot, but let me just read a few of your comments first, and then I'll give you context of what's happening as a backdrop. So somebody's said that the water. Yesterday we talked about the water and the problems that we're having in here in the UK with the water, and we found that in the US they're having similar problems with water supply, and you know they can't get their water companies to do anything, and then like us in the UK they just give you a massive bill for it and they don't improve services, but they still pay out share prices. So you know it's really interesting that that's not just for us in the UK. The backdrop to this video cast, or whatever you call it, is there's still this military build-up in Belarus, on the southern border of Belarus, on the northern border of Ukraine. At any day now, I think it's becoming really likely that the Belarusians could punch through and make a land grab for Zhytomyr. We've got the UK's Foreign Secretary, David Cameron. He's doing the rounds. He's going all over the place. Most notably, I think he's in the Falkland Islands. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Falkland Islands it's a small island in the South Atlantic. Britain fought a war with Argentina over them in 1982. The significance of the Falkland Islands isn't always apparent to most people. The significance is whoever controls the Falkland Islands controls the peninsula of Antarctica that you can land. If you think about where Antarctica is, there's a peninsula, and that's the best place to land. So whoever owns control of the Falkland Islands essentially owns the entry point to Antarctica. And if you look back through British history, one of the main reasons Britain was so successful in expanding its empire, it expanded in geographically strategic points. So, for example, where the French Empire, they would expand and they would just expand and they would want to get as much land. The Brits, they would say, okay, that's fine, you have all the land, but we're going to control the entry points. So it doesn't really matter who controls the land if you control the entry point. So that's where I think the significance with the Falkland Islands is. So what else have we got? So we've got these satellites, guys. Okay, so today in the news we've seen an article that there are satellites, out of control satellites hurtling towards Earth to hit the atmosphere on Wednesday morning. Guys, when this thing came out on, I think it was last week on Wednesday, and they were all talking about Russia's got space nukes, but we're not going to release any documentation towards it. Yeah, Russia's space nukes. I think the next day, SpaceX announced that they were going to decommission or deorbit, some of their satellites. Straight away, I said, right, these things are connected. What I've said from the get-go is I believe that the Russians or potentially the Chinese, because don't forget, these BRICS nations now are developing at a rate that's challenging the current world leaders. So what I would say is that the Russians, I think, have got a way to bring down satellites from their ground-based stations. Now, I initially said this would be a ground-based laser because I've seen. I'll try and get the link in the description below. I've seen the documentation where the Russians go into it and how they can, over time affect satellites with ground-based lasers. This was a concept that came out in the 70s, and obviously technology has advanced since then. Lasers have got more powerful, they've become more efficient, and I think that that's what's happening. And this news that's this news that came out today or yesterday that just emphasizes the whole space warfare concept and that it's really happening. So I don't think any of these three things are separate. I think the information that was released to the US on last Wednesday about Russia having space nukes, then SpaceX saying they're deorbiting some of their satellites and they're reorbiting some more. And then the news that we've got now that's not really got any media attention, that satellites are actually going to come to Earth on Wednesday morning. I think all these are connected, and this is the Russian threat. Don't forget, guys, okay? And I've said this before, and I know I'm saying it again. I still don't understand the significance of what's happening in Russia with this guy that died in prison. You know, there's no reason for this guy if he was killed, and a lot of people are saying he was killed in prison. It makes no sense. All it does is shines a negative light on the Russian and the Russian regime. So we are really moving forward into a really dangerous, part of history. Now, I don't know if you've heard this in the US, but the Russians have basically come out like yesterday, I think, or the day before, and they've said, right, if we lose in Ukraine, we are going to fire all our nuclear weapons on London. First of all, I think that's like, there's no strategic importance of that. You wouldn't fire all your nuclear weapons onto one, capital city. It would be pointless. It would be a waste of them. What you would do is you would take out the any ability for that country to fight back. So you would take out all the you basically take out their ports, their airports, any military facilities. I don't mean infantry facilities. I mean, larger military tanks, missile systems, missile silos, nuclear submarines. So they'd be the places to be taken out. And then the Russians or whoever would say, right, guys, you've got no way to defend yourselves now. Do you surrender, or should we start taking out a city? That's the way, that's the way you would use nuclear weapons. I don't see these mass strikes on London. But what is interesting is just the facts, guys, that you've got Russian officials now who are coming out on the TV, on media, and saying this. Can you imagine if this happened? If these things were being said, a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago, these things would be plastered all over the news, but it's hardly got any media attention. So what you can pretty much guarantee is there is these plans that are moving forwards that will involve nuclear weapons at some point. Whether these plans will be put into action, I don't know. What happens next in this crazy world, I don't know, guys, all right? Please let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, guys. Really helps us out when you do this. And we are growing this channel, guys, and that's thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for following us, guys. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for watching. And I love reading your comments. So please give us some comments and let me know where you're from. Thank you.